And I'm now joined by Claire Anstey with her book, Sort Out Your Crap Life. And you may actually recognise this lovely lady here as one of our panellists on the show.
Exciting.
The one and only panellist who has written a book.
I know, all of the others, they've all run out to the other room and they're making notes now.
They're all
under pressure.
Yeah, they're all writing their autobiographies.
I know, I've set the standard.
Yes, you have. Now, Claire, I have to say, I've always admired you for your positive attitude. And now you've gone and actually written a book on how we can all gain a positive attitude like you.
Yes.
And I like the title, Sort Out Your Crap Life, as well. It's to the point, isn't it?
Yeah, it was originally going to be called Toilet Training, because I wanted it to be a book that you pick up when you're on the loo. But my editor didn't think that was a good idea.
Yeah, like a nice, yes.
They thought that people with new babies might Google it. So no, the title is what it's all about. If you feel like, life's crap, you're not quite sure what to do, that's where I was once. And I lost someone through suicide. That's life obviously got to that point. And then because of losing someone from suicide and me going off the rails.
How long ago was that?
I lost Aaron 8 years ago.
Wow.
And then I wrote the book for 3 years ago.
Right.
So I wrote that 3 years ago, and it wasn't deliberate. To get myself back on my feet, I read lots of books, I did bits of counselling, I learnt lots of different kind of tools and techniques, and then I got stuck in an office. So all my presenting work, all my work kind of went wrong.
Yeah.
And I just started making notes to remind myself of all the stuff I'd learnt, because I was really unhappy in my work. And before I knew it, I had a book.
Is that how you did it?
Ridiculous, doesn't it? It sounds ridiculous, but I just thought all these things that I've learned, they must go. There must be something in them. So I just was rewriting them for myself because, as I say, I was unhappy. And then as I wrote the book, I redid the book and got myself back on track. So the book not only
it's like therapy, just even like doing it the second time and putting it together.
So all the exercises that are in the book, I was doing as I was rewriting, and got myself again back together, and hopefully this is what
I really like how you've done it. It's very original. It's really for like young people. I think young people really love it.
Yeah, a lot of students love it.
Yeah, it's very straight to the point. You've got like techniques in here. You've even been brave enough to put your own diary accounts in here.
That's my real diary.
That's amazing. I read those bits. I was like, wow.
There's a lot of bad behaviour in it. But
your innermost thoughts are in here, and then obviously you show how you got through those points with the exercises and the techniques. And obviously a lot of people try and work out how do you get a positive attitude and how do you take action, and you do that in this book, don't you? Like, what's the most important, like what would you give as a lesson to start, for people who can't get off their butts and they need to just get going, get the engine going?
What is it, right, if you're in a bit of a random place like I was, why is it that you can go out, and people that have done this will relate to this. How is it that you can go to a club or a pub and you can sit at the back, drunk or off your face, and you can tell a perfect stranger all of your problems, but you can't tell the people in and around you? And that was something that I really realised, because I was doing that. I was trying to find the answer in a bottle of vodka and going out partying, and it wasn't happening. And I kind of realised, but I can speak to strangers, but I can't speak to my friends. So I just started writing it down. And every evening I would just write all my thoughts down.
Do you think that's a really important thing to do?
Absolutely, and then I ripped it up and flushed it down the toilet. I think that's where I originally got the Toilet Training kind of working title from. But just doing something like that, nobody sees it, nobody hears it, and half the time it was scribbles, because I just would go, and I just would do it for like 20 minutes, and then I just throw it away, and it really cleared my head, and that's so easy. And then another technique that I found was really easy was just write. Get an A4 sheet of paper, and it's actually in here, and just write your list of achievements. And if you're in a really dark place, which some people can be in, it's really hard to think of the good things you've done. You forget about your swimming certificate. You forget that, you went out of your way to help a friend and that made a massive impact on their life. And I know swimming certificate, that's years ago at school, but sometimes that is what you have to remember, because you have to start with the smallest little good thing, and then when you're in the flow, you build on it and build on it, and then you put that piece of paper in your pocket, and then when you're on the loo, or you have that little quiet moment, I have a thing with toilets. That's where you're in your most private. That's where you can lock the door and nobody will question you on where you are. Get the piece of paper out and remind yourself of all the amazing things you've done.
And also, it's important to, you have to appreciate what you have. Then also, you've also got to plan for the future and write goals and have some focus as well.
Completely.
Be true to yourself and think, what do I really want out of my life? Because a lot of people have that problem where they never really think about it.
People don't ask
and they just wander aimlessly and they never work that one out.
But a lot of people don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what their inner desires is, what their passions are. And when you're not connected to that, you get really lost. And that's something that I realised. I wanted to be famous. I know I'm on a TV show right now, but I wanted to be famous. That was my aim. I was going to be a singer, then I couldn't sing. Then I was going to be a dancer, and I liked food much more. Then I was going to be a presenter, and then I did really well at my presenting. And then Aaron, someone I loved, died. They took their own life. And it just took my breath away. And depression is massive in the UK, and suicide is the biggest killer of men in the UK.
Wow.
A statistic that not many people know. And due to having somebody that I love die, it really had a knock-on effect of what's fame, what am I, who am I? And I had to rediscover myself. And I did it with all of the tools and techniques that are in the book.
Can we talk more about those techniques after the break? I want to hear all about them. Cool. We'll be back after the break with more Loaded Chicklets. Hi, and I'm still joined by the lovely Claire Anstey with her book, Sort Out Your Crap Life. My lovely panellist and author. And we were just obviously talking about, the things that you've been through in your life, and now you've worked out techniques, to get yourself on the right path. So what are the main techniques you would recommend?
Well, there's 30...
Generally, as a general starting
I've put
point.
30 in the book. I mean, I think one thing to do is, I mentioned it earlier, to actually start off with something really basic. Get an A4 sheet of paper, write the list of your achievements, get that sense of self, that sense of self-esteem, kind of connect to the good things that you've done in your life. Because when you're grieving, if that's what you're going through, or you've hit kind of a roadblock and you're failing everything, or you think that you're failing, quite often when we're failing at stuff, it's because we're on the wrong path. And we don't actually realise that. When we connect with our passions and what we're good at, the path is actually easier. But unfortunately, we live in a society where we believe that the harder it is, the better it's going to be in the end. And I've done that before. I fought really hard to get to the top and got there. It went, oh, it's still a bit crap.
Did you find that maybe it's sometimes actually the journey of it? You know how a lot of people say it's the journey of getting somewhere? Don't just aim for the result. It's like all your process. You have to try and enjoy that as well.
Every day is a journey. And that whole saying, isn't it? Live your day.
It is a cliched expression, but it's actually...
Yeah, I've got a quote here from, there's another really good book actually. I love Dan Millman as an author. I'll talk about that on another show if I have my way.
We'll have to do a show about that actually, yeah.
It's a really good book. Now, the actual quote that's here from his book, it says, "The time is now, the place is here. Stay in the present, you can do nothing to change the past, and the future will never come exactly as you plan or hope for." So we really have to be in the now and in that moment. Yeah, we can strive for the future, but then we're just worrying about it. If we think about the past...
Worry is a real thing, a problem, isn't it? Anxiety. No one knows how to live in the present, actually. No. That's a huge problem. And if you try to, you suddenly realise how your brain flits and how you have so much internal chatter going on. And a lot of it's actually negative. If you could actually just switch off that negative voice, just go calm. And then,
easier said than done, but
it is hard.
Help and
you've got things in there as well for that type of thing.
I mean, this is. In here is the 30. There's actually at the beginning, it's like I call it the game of life. And in the game of life, you have the cheese.
Oh right, yes.
You divide your life up into the cheeses. Sort of thing. So you've got your love life, your family life, your job, and then you go through each. You go at the start of the book. You go through each one and work out what you've got, what you want, what you don't want, what you wish for, and you really assess that question: what do I want for my life? And then as you go through the rest of the book, you do daily exercises that enable you to actually sort out the crap bits in each bit of that cheese, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And it's like, and you need to have balance. If you put too much in one area, the others suffer. And you neglect them. You need to have balance, otherwise you will not be happy, because you also depend too much on that one area. And if it kind of isn't, it lets you down, you put too much in it, you need to have it all over.
Completely.
Think about each area.
When I was first doing this, I had to book in laughter. Now I go, but at the time I was so caught up with everything. I was so caught up in grieving and thinking what I could have done, thinking about I had to be successful because then everyone would love me, and all these things. And I remember being on a course, because I went and tried everything to kind of get my head straight, and they were like, "When did you last laugh?" And I kind of went,
That's funny, I can't imagine you not laughing.
Could you imagine that? And I was like, I don't know. And one of the first things I had to do was book in, this is another tip actually, is 30 minutes of something that you really enjoy. So that could be Only Fools and Horses. I don't know why I thought that, that always makes me laugh.
Actually, I probably...
yeah, something like that. A phone call with a friend, whatever it is, what you can actually take half an hour and you know that you're going to laugh. Pick up a book, pick up a comic, whatever it is that for you, and it's going to be completely individual, book it in your diary every day. And that seems really odd, but if you're in a bad place, you don't do that. And it works so well. And it works so well.
Wow. I think another thing we suffer from is fear. That's probably a massive thing. And I think you talk about this in the book as well, Isling.
Yeah.
Because we live by fear. I really do feel like we're quite fearful people. I mean, I generally find that when I talk to people, there's always a theme of fear somewhere.
Yeah.
Fear of what people think, fear of, failure. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And you talk a lot about how to push that boundary and just kind of like get out of that comfort zone. And you always feel exhilarated by life when you do that. You always get a buzz out of it. I mean,
completely.
Have you always noticed that? How when you do something you fear and you just do it, you just feel amazing afterwards and you suddenly get that self-esteem that you need.
Completely, but that's practice. Because once you do it once, you can do it again. And then you can do it again. But when you're living in that fear, and especially if rejection and failure are huge for me. Still
for a lot of people, I think. Yeah.
And I've really got, with the exercise I put in the book, really got my head together about that. And rejection still, it's really hard, and it happens all the time. Especially working in the media field as well. It's part and parcel of the work. Even putting the book together and getting it published. You have to deal with those kind of things. But you learn how to accept your emotions. Because someone told me a long time ago, to lose something, you have to own it. So you own it and then you let it go. You don't ignore the fact that you're sad. You don't ignore the fact that you're angry. You kind of suck it up and then you let it go. And there's a great exercise in here, and a lot of men really love the book because I don't know, must be the way I write it, and it's quite basic, but where you just get a pillow and you punch the crap out of it. So if someone's annoyed you that day, you just literally...
And on that nice punchy pillow note...
It's not that violent, I promise.
It's not that violent. You've got to read the book to find out. That's fantastic. This is very inspiring, Claire.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. You're on the panel anyway. And that's Claire Anstey's book, Sort Out Your Crap Life.